skies, you don't. Possibly he's going to come from another direction.
Right there, that's him. Have your agents take him down.
All units, target is westbound through the concourse. Take him down now. Repeat, take him down now.
Go.
Obichi on Wara?
Yes.
U.S. Customs. Come with us.
Anwuhara, what were you doing in Nigeria?
What is this all about?
We work together.
What kind of work?
He's a businessman. We do business work.
I'm in the import-export business. I buy high-end cars, Porsches, Benzes, whatever I get my hands on. I buy them in America, I sell them to Africa.
I'm a student, and right now I live in Miami.
We know you stopped in London for 2 days and stayed in the Ritz.
Since when is that a crime?
Did anyone approach you in Nigeria or London that expressed negative feelings towards the U.S.?
Is that what this is about? You think I'm a terrorist? I ain't no terrorist. Either charge me or let us go.
Tobichi Anwuhara thought he'd gotten the best of the FBI and that his secret was safe. But what he didn't realize was he was playing a chess game with the feds, and he had no way to predict their next move. For months, Anwuhara had been a top priority for the FBI. They knew the damage he'd allegedly caused was already huge, but they also knew something else. Anwuhara was not a terrorist. So what was Anwuhara really up to? To understand that, you need to go back in time more than a decade and travel half a world away.
Tobichi. You know, they say that America is the only land of opportunity. Well, it's time you learn how we make opportunity in Nigeria. Come.
Anwuhara was born in Houston, Texas. But before he was out of middle school, Anwuhara's mother sent him to Nigeria to live with his father.
Give me your bank number, and I will deposit the money in your account.
Anwuhara was supposed to go to one of Nigeria's top boarding schools, but his father thought some on-the-job training would serve him better.
We'll both be helping each other out.
The elder Anwuhara had made a small fortune in the notorious Nigerian 419 scam.
I will deposit the money.
I will take care of you, sir. Yes. All you have to do is give me your bank account number, and I'll happily put the money into your account.
That's where a supposed prince needs to quickly get his cash out of his country and con someone to send him their money to do so, with the promise of a large return.
That's right. You have been approved, and within 24 hours, you'll have the money into your account.
Life lessons Anwuhara put to use when he returned to the U.S. as a 20-year-old man and put together his own crew of con artists.
It's called a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. The only direction the real estate market is going is up. So it's time we take a ride. couple of years ago, a house that sold for $200,000 is now going for $5. That means the bank which is floating this mortgage is willing to loan the homeowner what he owns on paper, $300,000. And that's where we come in. Though you gotta make sure you get the last name first and the first name last.
Pulling off a scam of this magnitude required several steps.
That's good.
Step 1. Anwahara got the names of homeowners with low mortgages but with substantial HELOC loans. Step 2. His crew learned everything they could about their targets in order to become them.
Yes, my name is Mary Swanson. Of course. My mother's maiden name is Gervin.
Step 3, get the money before anyone knew it was gone. And because Anwahara insisted everyone in his crew use prepaid calling cards and prepaid wireless connections, calls were untraceable.
Hi, my name is Bob Tall. I'm having some trouble with my account.
And once Anwahara got a temporary password, he had access to the account and the ability to take every last dollar of that person's HELOC loan. And before the customer or bank knew it, FBI agents say hundreds of thousands of dollars were transferred from the victim's account to an account Anwahara had set up in Singapore. And by the time the FBI was called in, millions had already evaporated.
Wow, these guys are good.
We are at a point now where we're over 15 million, we're approaching 20 million, and the numbers kept growing and growing, and we realized we literally had hundreds of victims in this case. Toby lived a very lavish lifestyle. It was not unlike him to go out to a strip club or to a gentleman's club and spend $50,000 in a night.
Hey, Toby.
Hey, baby.
Nice medallion.
No, that's nothing.
To put it in perspective for you, on one occasion, Toby was at a strip club, and in this strip club was also a very well-known, famous rapper. And it's very common in the rap culture to show your success by literally throwing money up in the air. And this rapper was throwing money and making it rain, if you will. That's the slogan for it. Toby began to throw money, so much so that the rapper actually gave up when Toby continued to throw so much money.
And while Anwahara was throwing his money away, the FBI hit pay dirt. In 2008, the feds unearthed video surveillance of the crew and positively identified the ringleader as Tobichi Anwahara. But the FBI still needed to know more about Anwahara and his crew. And when authorities learned the crew was returning through New York's JFK Airport in the spring of 2008, they set their plan into motion.
The reason we were able to do that was because he had changed his flights several times. And so that's a red flag. As everyone knows, in the post-9/11 environment, that's one of the things that's looked at.
You stopped in London for 2 days, stayed at the Ritz. Did anyone approach you in Nigeria or London that expressed negative feelings towards the U.S.?
FBI agents were careful not to tip their hand that they were on to Anwahara's alleged scam. And in the end, it was Anwahara's girlfriend, Precious Matthews, who became the linchpin to their investigation.
Right now I live in Miami.
Although Precious claimed she was a college student, she had a tremendous amount of money moving into her bank account. She also paid the $5,000 a month mortgage on a mansion just outside Miami where she and Anwahara lived. Now the FBI could keep them in their sights 24/7, waiting for the right time to make their move.
They're on the move.
And on August 1st, 2008, the FBI had enough information to make their move, following Precious to the Hard Rock Casino in Fort Lauderdale.
Be advised, we're pulling into the parking lot.
Police, get out of the car!
Out of the car! Hands up!
Drop the phone! Drop the phone! Drop it now!
Up against the car. Drop the phone. Drop this phone. Phone. Hands on the car.
It's not him.
That's right. The other passenger was a relative of Anwahara's who looked just like him.
Drop that phone.
Precious actually sends a text message, as we later find out, to Toby, who's already in the casino, warning him that they're in the process of being arrested.
That warning is all Anwahara needed to make a clean getaway. He hasn't been seen since. Precious Matthews and the rest of the crew are now behind bars, but we need your help to find Tobichi Anwahara. Anwahara can speak with both an American and Nigerian accent. He loves expensive sports cars, and authorities say he's addicted to gambling and strip clubs. And here's one more very big, very tacky, but very expensive clue. Agents believe Anwahara could still be wearing this huge, custom-made, diamond-encrusted medallion. It has the words 8 Figity written on it, with a figure of some punk holding 2 money bags. Maybe that's supposed to be him. Well, Anwahara loves it, and it could be worth nearly $1 million. But let me tell you, when he wears this thing around his neck, he sticks out like a badly dressed sore thumb. So if you've seen him or it, don't hesitate to call 1-800-CRIME-TV.
I got up, he was holding it, he slipped, and he bumped his head right here. I grabbed him really fast, and I happened to hit his head here, and I have Jacob in my arms, and I'm like shaking him. Jacob.
Somebody killed this child.
Definitely.
Last week marked the 29th year since my 6-year-old son Adam's murder. It's always a very rough day for me and my family. I especially think of him on that day. But the fact is, I think about him every day. We had Adam for 6 great years. It was a privilege. And that's why my heart really goes out to Arturo Leon, who didn't have his son around even that long.
It just brings back memories, you know?
His son Jacob never had a chance to celebrate his first birthday.
Honestly, I couldn't believe it, you know, like, it's just like a nightmare.
Jacob's sudden and mysterious death left Arturo reeling.
Angela Hayes for the people, Your Honor.
And prosecutor Angela Hayes made it her mission to get him some answers.
We would be asking for a plea of guilty to count 1.
Angela is a crusader who rescues children and nails predators in San Joaquin County, California.
I have a child of my own, and I cannot imagine anyone perpetrating violence or anything of that nature against him. And I sure would want somebody fighting for him if we had to go through this type of system. We have.
What Angela uncovered about Jacob's death devastated Arturo and enraged her. In February of 2008, the badly injured baby was airlifted to the Oakland Children's Hospital, just outside San Francisco. But nothing could be done to save his young life.
Somebody needed to be out there to fight for him, and I chose to do that.
Her investigation started at this house where Jacob lived with his mother. Angela learned that the day Jacob was hurt, his mother was at work.
I can hear him laughing and having a fun time.
And her new boyfriend, Mario Pena, was babysitting.
It was Monday morning around 1:30.
Pena had given detectives his version of what happened that day. He used one of Jacob's favorite stuffed animals as a stand-in for the child, as a police video camera rolled.
You know, I'm sitting him right here. I was sitting down, I was sitting him right here. I heard the phone ring. I got up, he was holding it, he slipped, and he bumped his head right here. It was like a loud thump, you know, I heard the vibrating of the doors thump, and then next thing I didn't hear nothing. And then I kind of just heard the splashes. He got up again and fell and started splashing. When I came back into the bathroom, which was like, when I say 2.5 minutes later, He was underneath the water.
And in the commotion of trying to get the child out of the tub, Pena told the cops he accidentally banged Jacob's head against the faucet.
And I grabbed him really fast, and I happened to hit his head here, and I have Jacob in my arms, and I'm like shaking him, Jacob, you know, Jacob, and he's kind of looking but not looking at me.
Angela saw Pena's performance for what it was, a disgusting lie.
I knew this was not an accident, not based on the nature of the injury. We knew somebody had done this to this child.
But Angela wasn't ready to bring Pena to trial. Not yet.
I don't have a gunshot. I don't have a knife wound. It's all internal. It's a brain, head trauma injury. I needed to know what I was going to be describing to the jury.
So she did one of the toughest things I can imagine. Attend the autopsy of a child. She'd never done this before, but she had to see for herself what really happened to little Jacob.
These pictures and autopsy showed a mushed brain. A brain that was mushed by large amounts of energy.
What she learned from the medical examiner was beyond disturbing.
So a large amount of energy hit this child's head and caused his brain to die.
Yes, and also caused massive bleeding inside the skull.
To see a baby's skull in the hand of the coroner that's just falling apart like an eggshell. It was a very dramatic moment for me.
Jacob's autopsy provided the proof Angela needed that Mario Pena was a liar. No bathtub injury could possibly turn a child's brain to mush.
You need energies that would be generated if a car is traveling at about 50 miles an hour and suddenly it hits another car.
So if this child was ejected from a car in a collision, traveling at 50 to 60 miles per hour, and he hit his head on concrete, you would expect to see this kind of injury?
Such extensive injury, yes. This was not an accident. This is what we call the non-accidental trauma in children.
Somebody killed this child.
Definitely.
Your Honor, may we approach?
In October 2009, Angela brought Pena to trial on murder charges. She told the jury about Jacob's horrendous injuries, tearing apart Pena's ridiculous alibi.
And I'm like, Jacob, baby, Jacob.
He knew that we had the doctors on our side. There was no defense. He was alone with the child, and the child died. No, Your Honor.
Her arguments were so compelling that the jury convicted Pena in 10 minutes.
Your Honor, my understanding is that the defendant was ordered to be present in court today.
But Pena wasn't around to hear the verdict or his sentence of 25 years to life. Before the trial ended, he skipped bail.
We believe he's gone to Southern California or to Mexico. And we are going to have people looking for him. There are people looking for him, and we're going to get him.
I miss holding him. I miss every single second I spent with him. I think about how he would call me daddy and everything, and it's just heartbreaking, really.
Arturo, I've walked in your shoes. I know firsthand how hard it is to try to describe that horrible pain you're living with. I've often said it's like trying to describe a color to somebody that they've never seen, and you hope that they never get to see it. And there's one more thing about this case that I really can't stomach. How that judge could let this guy bond out. Everybody in that courtroom knew that he was a possible flight risk to Mexico. I'm sick of these guys running across the border and Mexico not giving him up. This guy has got to be hunted down like the dog that he is. And 25 years is nothing. He should be locked away for the rest of his life. Now, Mario Pena is 24 years old, but he looks even younger. He has a slouching left shoulder from an old accident, and he has a star tattoo above each of his elbows. As you already heard, cops believe he may have fled to Mexico, but he could be anywhere tonight. So if you know where this coward, convicted child killer, Mario Pena, is, you've got to have the courage to make that call. Now, don't forget, you can call us from Mexico toll-free, at 001-800-274-6388. Now, we've got Spanish-speaking operators waiting for that tip. And, of course, if you're here in the U.S. or Canada, call us at our regular toll-free number, 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Hello, you have reached Blank Bender, recomposer of the decomposed.
You have to combine art, science, intuition, and I believe every person is as different as a fingerprint, and they should be approached that way.
All right, can you tell me your full name?
William Joseph Greer.
This is how we first met William Greer, on police video shot from a cruiser's dash cam 3 days before Christmas 2006. Cops were investigating a car wreck in Cleveland, Texas, when Greer stumbled out of the woods, shocking Deputy John Dewey.
He was wearing only a button-up shirt, no pants. He was totally nude from the waist down.
If that wasn't shocking enough, what really sent off alarms was what the visibly intoxicated Greer coughed up next.
It was an accident. I know it was on my heart.
What was the accident?
The gun just went off. Y'all could tell where it was shot. I couldn't believe what happened. She died. Oh, my God. It's the worst thing I ever did was look in her eyes once she died.
Greer appeared to be confessing to the murder of his girlfriend, Tammy Marie Myers. A vivacious mother of three, Tammy and Greer shared a stormy relationship steeped in intimidation and abuse. She took these pictures of herself as proof. Cops went looking for Tammy, but they came up empty. And in the meantime, Greer stepped back from his confession. With no body, cops could only charge Greer with public drunkenness and had to release him. Cops had no idea what went on inside Greer's home until Greer's own kids came to the Harris County Sheriff's Office with a story that put their dad's drunken ramblings in perspective.
They said they heard William and Tammy arguing, and they saw William take her back into the bedroom. They heard a gunshot, and they heard what they portrayed as gurgling. Minutes later, they heard William saying, "Are you dead or are you alive?"
Search warrant in hand, Detective Clopton turned Greer's residence inside out and covered enough evidence to charge Greer with murder. But by then, Greer was long gone, so we went after him.
How do you know him?
And our hotline lit up.
And this address you gave me at Bourbon Street, is this like an apartment building, or what is?
First, your tips took us to New Orleans. Then we followed them into northern Kentucky. It's all been part of an amazing 3-year odyssey of people we've met who've encountered Greer.
My next-door neighbor called me. She says, "Billy's on TV on America's Most Wanted." Turn it on. And I seen him. I recognized him with his cowboy hat.
Now, this is definitely the hat that was in that photo.
I baptized, I think, 5 or 6 that day, and he just came and asked, would I include him?
He left in a hurry. His CD player is still turning.
Missing a toe that he lost on a bicycle when he was a kid.
He was laying here, and he'd swing this way, and he'd kick, and he'd fight. And then he'd come up off the bed, and he'd scream, "But I love you!"
I thought we were two people, you know, that were in love and liked each other.
So I come upstairs, and I got my sword and pushed the door open. And I was like, dude, if you mess with my mom, you're messing with your life.
Not long after that encounter in Dayton, Kentucky, cops believe Greer saw himself on America's Most Wanted and took off in a hurry. So you think you know where he is tonight? As for Tammy, cops still haven't found her body. So let's get some answers in this case. Here are some things you can look for to help cops hunt down William Greer. Greer likes drinking Bud Light. He exercises regularly and has a large scar on his left leg. He often works in construction, and may be part of a church or Bible group. And perhaps the biggest clue, Greer is missing the index toe on his right foot. Now, we also know that Greer loves to change his looks. You can see the many faces of William Greer at AMW.com, including the last photo we have of him. If you know where William Greer's hiding tonight, call our hotline at 1-800-CRIME-TV. Information, Detective Urbanski contacted the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They painstakingly checked the databases of African-American girls between the ages of 5 to 9 who went missing over the past 10 years. But they never found a match, which most likely means the child was never even reported missing. Detectives now faced a dark reality that someone who was supposed to love and take care of this little girl may have taken her life. Investigators went back to the beginning, where the little girl's remains were found. This may look like a rural area, but just 3 miles up the road. I think you've done a great job as usual. This is really gonna, I think, launch this case in a new direction. Let's go all is at 1-800-CRIME-TV. And here's that great bust of baby bones that our old friend Frank Bender created. Once again, I gotta say, he did an amazing job. But there's some sad news about Frank. Frank's seriously ill. And when we come back, we're gonna see Frank again, learn about the battle that he's been fighting. And then he's gonna tell you about what's probably the last case he'll ever work on, a case he really hopes you can help solve tonight. This is the incredible lifelike sculpture Frank Bender made of baby bones that you saw him create in our last story. Now, I've known Frank for more than 20 years, and in that time, he's become a very dear friend of mine and a very important friend of this show. Here's some of the other amazing work that he's done for us. And this one right here, this is the first one he did for America's Most Wanted. And for me, I think it's his best. It played a very big part in our history, because it helped us make one of our biggest captures, the takedown of mass murderer John List.
In my work, that it would look like him. My biggest fear was he would appear to be such a nice guy, the perfect type of individual, that perhaps a neighbor that even felt that it looked so much like him would say, no, he couldn't possibly have done anything like that. That was my biggest fear.
So Frank paid extra attention to every minute detail of the bust, including the thick eyeglasses he thought List might be wearing. His hunch was correct. Frank's bust was a perfect match to the aging fugitive, and John List was quickly captured after 18 years on the run.
Hello, you have reached Frank Bender, recomposer of the decomposed.
Frank Bender doesn't have much time to answer his phone these days because he's busy working on his latest sculpture. Another Jane Doe who society forgot about. Like many of the cases Frank has worked on over the years, he's using his artist's eye to bring her back to life.
You have to combine art, science, intuition, and I believe every person is this.
Helping police solve tough cases was not the profession Frank expected when he returned home from the Navy as a young man. He wanted to be an artist. As part of an art project, he visited the city morgue and was shown the decomposed body of an unidentified woman.
Appears to be in their late teens. They didn't know who she was. We don't know what she looks like. And I just set out a conversation. Well, I know what she looks like. Well, a doctor standing next to me introduced himself. He said, excuse me, I'm Dr. Halbert Fillinger. I'm coroner of the day. And do you know anything about forensics? I said, to be honest with you, Doc, I don't even know what the word means.
Dr. Fillinger challenged Frank to come up with a composite of the face, and he did.
And then 5 months later, she was identified through what I had done as Anna Duval.
With the identification of Anna Duval, Dr. Fillinger told Frank his life was going to change.
He said to me, Frank, once you get bitten by the police dog, you'll never go back. You'll always want to help us.
Frank is an artist, but could this eccentric outsider fit in with the men in blue? Turns out Frank had more in common with them than he thought, and the cops embraced this outsider as one of their own.
He's very enthusiastic at what he does. He's like police officers. It's not a job, it's a calling. And police officers like being around people like that.
Frank's biggest supporter was his wife, Jan.
She always believed in me, really believed in me. And when I got involved with identification work, she felt it was so important that it was more important that I do that than try to make a lot of money.
Over the years, Frank has helped America's Most Wanted with some of our hardest cases. Philadelphia's Boy in the Box, an international fugitive, Bradford Bishop, just to name a few. When Frank created the Baby Bones bus last summer, it was truly amazing for us to see. Not because we didn't think Frank could complete his mission, but because he was facing a personal tragedy. His wife, Jan, was dying of cancer.
Of all the things I've done in my life, taking care of her was the most satisfying, rewarding part of my life. Jan would say to me, I know I'm a burden on you. I said, no, you're not. I'd do it for another 20, 10 years, whatever, if I had to. And then she'd smile. And that smile was just worth its weight in gold. Made everything worthwhile.
After Jan died, Frank threw himself into his work. His latest subject is a young woman in her 20s or 30s. Her skeletal remains were found in Williams Township, Pennsylvania, right off of Route 78, bordering New Jersey. She had acrylic fingernails with this unique design, and she also wore this leather hair bun holder.
I felt that with Frank's talent, that he would be able to help us in confirming the identity of this individual and then ultimately solving the crime.
Well, here she is. You tell me.
You put a face to the skull and did a great job.
It means a lot to me to try to get these identified.
If you think you recognize her, please give us a call. Frank, I want to say one thing. It's been an honor to know you and work with you over these years. You've done things that people couldn't do. You got justice for so many crime victims. God bless you, Frank. Tonight, the manhunt's on for Tobichi Onwahara, wanted for bank fraud, and accused killers Mario Pena and William Greer. Cops also need you to look out for convicted killers and prison escapees, Tracy Province and John McCluskey. And they need your help to identify this girl, whose bones were found in the woods of Upper Freehold, New Jersey in March 2005. And this young woman, whose skeletal remains were discovered in Williams Township, Pennsylvania in 2001. You helped bring her accused attacker to justice. Next week, we'll be in Boston to take you inside the shocking courtroom drama that followed. And I'll be riding along with state and local authorities, checking out how they're keeping the city and its famous harbor safe.